Hi guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today with another video, and the subject of today's video is going to be focusing on Kobe Bryant. I debated making a video about Kobe just because I feel like um, we're pretty oversaturated with the mourning and the remembrances regarding him, but I figured I would just add my 2 cents as well because I feel like Kobe Bryant had this weird effect where I feel like he had an impact on every fan of the NBA, no matter whether you were a fan of his or not a fan of his. He kind of elicited a reaction out of everybody, I feel like, and he contributed to everybody's basketball fandom in some way. So I figured I would just sort of share my history with him, I guess, and like what I thought of his game and whether or not I was a fan and how he overall impacted my fandom of the NBA. Of course, this is in reference to his, excuse me, very unfortunate passing a few weeks ago, or excuse me, only about a week ago now. I apologize, I got a bad cough. But yeah, he died in a plane accident or a helicopter accident a week ago. Him, his daughter, and seven other people unfortunately passed away. And a lot of people have been reflecting on both the person he was and the career that he had. As far as a person, I've heard a lot of really good things about Kobe, and he's done a lot of charitable things. Like for girls basketball, he opened like a facility, I think, or like a camp for young youth women's basketball, which is really nice. And he had a good heart, and I think he was doing a lot of charitable things from what I heard for different groups of people. So as far as that, he seems like an exemplary citizen and doing things that we'd all hope that uh, athletes or retired athletes which would be doing, which would be being community leaders and setting a good example for those that come after them. So from that perspective, he's a very upstanding person, and I really am sad that we lost a person who's trying to be a force for good in the world. But I guess for most of this video, I actually want to focus more on what he meant as far as what he meant to the NBA and as far as basketball. And I'll be intertwining that a bit with my fandom of the NBA and how I came to really learn more about the NBA and things like that. Um, so to start off with my personal history with the NBA, I'd say right around 2007 is where I started paying attention to the NBA and watching it closer. Um, I was around 10 years old. Um, And so that year, the big story was the Celtics and the Big Three, and I'm from Minnesota, so Kevin Garnett being on the Celtics was a big deal. So I followed them um, and was cheering for them in the finals against the Lakers, of course. And when they beat the Lakers, I was really happy because I felt like the Celtics were kind of like a team mentality, and the Lakers felt more like a it's just Kobe mentality at the time. So I was happy about that, and I feel like it kind of set him up to me to be sort of a villain in the NBA in my eyes, and I started routinely cheering against him in most scenarios. I realized, like the next year when they went to the conference finals against the Nuggets, I was really cheering for the Nuggets, and actually in the round before that against the Rockets, I was a really big fan of the Rockets because I really like Artest a lot, Ron Artest. So I was really cheering for them to beat the Lakers because I my dislike for the Lakers grew and grew the more I got into basketball, and really, 07, 08, that's the season where I started watching it, but 08, 09 is where I kind of became like obsessed with it. And so by those playoffs, I was really cheering for the Rockets to pull off the upset, but of course they lost. Um, and the Lakers got past the Nuggets, and then they got to the Magic, and I basically thought that the Magic were going to win that series, or I wanted the Magic to win. I didn't think that they would, and they lost like everyone expected. And Kobe played great, and I felt kind of resigned to the fact that they were going to win because I didn't think there was anything that the Magic could do. Um, Next year, 9 to 10, I really was excited for this Lakers Celtics rematch, and going into the series, I thought pretty evenly matched. Maybe the Lakers had a little edge. Um, get to game one, two, three, the Lakers are up 2-1. Then you get to after game five, the Celtics are up 3-2, and I thought, they're gonna do it. Lakers come back super strong in game six and get a good win. Um, game seven, I was like, okay, Celtics are gonna win this. Celtics are gonna win this the whole game. Super excited. I do this a lot when I watch basketball games. I'm pacing around my living room the entire game. I actually I struggle to actually sit down and just watch NBA games when I'm that invested, because when it's the finals or the playoffs and I really am invested in the teams, I struggle to just sit still and be calm, because I I don't know, it stresses me out watching these games sometimes. And so this game was definitely really stressing me out at the time. It's probably the most emotional I've gotten over a basketball game. Um, and the Lakers just slowly keep chipping back, chipping back, chipping back, and then right towards the end of the game, they take the lead, and then boom, they win. And I was crestfallen, because I really wanted the Celtics that year, and that cemented to me Kobe as like my NBA villain. Like, I was just super upset. um, I was very much cheering against him. Um, so going into the next season, the big three formed and all that, and I uh, I was really wondering if we were gonna get like a Lakers Heat finals, but then of course the Mavericks upset them in the second round, and I have to say that might be the happiest I've ever been with a second round series result ever. It probably is the happiest I've ever been with a second round of the playoffs. I think everybody collectively just thought it was super cool and super out of the blue that the Mavericks uh, kind of felt like they came out of nowhere and swept the two-time reigning champions. I was super happy to see Kobe fail, as mean as that sounds. Um, the next year they were kind of off the mountaintop, 11-12, and nobody really expected them to like be getting to the finals necessarily. And they lost to the Thunder in the second round again, and it was kind of a ho-hum year for the Lakers. Actually, they still had Bynum, Gasol, um, they still had Kobe, they had our test, but there was just something, maybe as Lamar Odom being gone, but the team just didn't seem as whole as it used to be. Um, the next year's when they brought in Nash and Dwight, and they lost in the first round, and Kobe had torn his ACL. And it sounds vicious, but I wasn't sad for Kobe when he tore the ACL. I was kind of I wanted to see the Lakers in the playoffs, and I wanted to see him play, but I also was not upset that the Lakers were going to be bad going forward, because Kobe's health was going to be reduced. And so um, from that point on, the Lakers were a bad team, and I never really cared much about them after that. And then Kobe had that last game where he scored the 60, because I'm kind of skipping ahead 3 years here. 13-14 was pretty uneventful for them. Same with 14-15. 15-16 was the farewell tour, and I didn't really, I was paying attention, but it was when he got to the last game where he scored the 60 where I was amazed. Um, and that actually was kind of the start of the turning point for me with my thoughts on Kobe Bryant. Once he retired, I started reflecting, looking back, and realizing like I miss Kobe Bryant's presence in the NBA a lot. And it's not because I was his super fan or anything, it's because in the NBA you need a villain, or you need somebody who you kind of want the person that you're cheering for to go against. And so I always, between Kobe and LeBron, I always leaned more towards cheering for LeBron. And so once Kobe was gone, I felt like that so-called villain role was missing in the NBA. And it sounds unconventional, but as much as you cheer against a villain, you actually like them because they provide an entertaining show for um, for what you're looking for. Like, if the Celtics wouldn't have made the 2010, or if the Lakers wouldn't have made the 2010 finals, and instead it would have been the Suns and Celtics would have been a really boring series. But because it was Lakers Celtics, it was super entertaining. Um, and you just somebody who's going to kind of elicit emotion out of you, which is what Kobe was great at doing. Whether you loved him or hated him, you wanted to watch him, and when he was playing in a critical game, you wanted to be watching. And so that's something that he definitely gave to me, is like a desire to follow the game closely, especially when he was on. And um, I think just it's just so unconventional. I think that I really appreciated him after the fact, and it was unfortunately only after the fact that he retired that I started to really fanboy over him a bit more. I'd say, like, I would watch a lot of his highlights from when he was with Shaq, and I started to become actually a really big fan of that Shaq and Kobe team. I thought that was a really cool dynamic, and as I learned more about NBA history, I was sad to learn about their breakup and all that stuff. But I thought that was a really cool tandem, and really just I'm trying to think of how to phrase this here. I think when I separated myself from Kobe of 2009 and I looked at Kobe from 98, 2000, 2002, 2004, 2006, all those prior years with him, I realized, wow, like, he was more than just an adversary for the Celtics for one year, or an adversary for LeBron or whoever. He had this robust career, and I watched a lot of his highlights because I really liked his athleticism from when he was younger, like in the dunk contest days and all that. So, um, yeah, I thought he was a fantastic player. Leaping ability was awesome in his younger years. And then in his older years, I really appreciate just his dedication to working hard and improving his skills. He is not the most athletic player that there ever was, not the best built player as far as God given physique, but he worked harder than anybody else, and that's why he's one of the best of all time. I bought his book last year and read through that right away when I got it. Or actually, I got it as a gift, and I just read through it right away. He talked to a lot about how he would go up and approach different players, and how he would like use their strengths and weaknesses against them, and how he would use his strengths and weaknesses to position himself to better combat them. And it was really a sign that he had this um, a very like meticulous, thoughtful way of going up against his opponents, and really one of the reasons why he was the best ever is because he so thoroughly thought through how to approach his opponents. Um, so yeah, I guess I don't have much more to say, guys. That's really my history with Kobe. He started as kind of my NBA villain who I always cheered against, but once he was gone, I missed him, and I missed having that person to kind of be the adversary. And to have a good competition, you need somebody who you really want to win and somebody who you really like cheering against. And of course, it's all in good fun. I never resented him as a person or anything. He just was fun to cheer against on the basketball court. It's a terrible loss that he had to go at such a young age, along with his 13-year-old daughter, another 13-year-old girl, and a bunch of other folks who just their time came sooner than it should have. And I personally would advocate that he should be the logo. And you don't even have to officially make it him, but just a silhouette that looks similar to him. They're doing a lot of things for the All Star Weekend that are to honor him. I don't know how those will exactly play out. It seems a little convoluted to me, but he definitely is an icon of the NBA and will be sorely missed in the community. And um, you know, if you're an NBA fan, you know what this means to the community, and it's gonna leave a big hole. Even though he's retired, it's gonna leave a really big hole. He was the most one of the most loved players in NBA history. Uh, his fans are some of the most rabid fans that have ever existed, and I will never forget him. And that's all I got, folks. Have a good day. Bye.